We've all heard we need to get healthier. We generally know what to eat, but when's the last time you really stopped to think about why you eat or continue eating and how you experience your food? The food we eat is our number one interaction with our environment. Some people eat 3 square meals, others eat 6 small plates, many eat a combination of meals and snacks. And regardless of your approach, that's many sessions during the day when you're lifting fork to mouth. What's more is that there are many other times during the day that our habits can trigger us to reach for tiny tastes without even noticing. This can add up over time. In the context of a day, it could mean an additional 600 calories, along with extra unnecessary added sugar, sodium, saturated fat, dietary cholesterol, especially if you're reaching for something that's processed. Done every day, it could lead to more than a pound gained per week. Worse yet, depending on the nature of the tiny taste you're reaching for that exceed your body's dietary needs, this could lead to lifestyle chronic diseases. What do you do when you find yourself in these mindless eating traps? Simply put, you leverage the power of intuitive and mindful eating. What exactly does this mean and how can it help? We're going to start with mindfulness here. Mindfulness is the act of being aware of your movement, thoughts, and actions. Simply put, being fully present in the moment. When you are fully present and aware of your choices, you're able to calm the frenzy and slow down, which helps you make an informed decision aligned with your goals and, throughout the meal, promotes better portion control. Intuitive eating is a separate but complementary practice to mindful eating. This is where you leverage the power of your own intuition and respond to your hunger cues. Using the simple Hunger-Satiety scale and being aware of your personal physiological hunger cues can help you understand when it's time to start and stop eating. Here's a brief overview of this hunger scale. So as you see here on the screen, it's a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is ravenously hungry and 10 is Thanksgiving dinner full. When leveraging this scale as a resource, there are a few danger zones that are notable. And you can also use this scale to identify or discover your hunger sweet spot. First, the danger zones. These are shown here in red. If you find that you procrastinate responding to your hunger cues, you can quickly create a hunger emergency. This is where your tank is on E, which is about a 1 or a 2 on that hunger scale. Potentially feeling weak. Some people call it hangry, headachy, foggy, and very vulnerable. Allowing yourself to get to a 1 or 2 often leads to feeling out of control with your choices and how you experience your food. This can lead to overeating large portions of less healthy food. That means tipping the scales in the opposite direction, leaving you feeling physically overly full, maybe lethargic, bloated, and mentally you could be feeling foggy, or even experiencing the shame, guilt, and lack of control that comes from overeating. On the flip side, when you respond to your hunger in a timely manner, you can stay in control, especially if you are marrying this with the practice of mindful eating. So if you take a look at this hunger scale again, you're going to notice the green zones. The ideal time to begin eating, actually putting food in your mouth and eating, is when you're at a 3 on the hunger scale. This is when you're hungry and ready to eat, but not uncomfortable yet. That means that you might need to start preparing your food when you're noticing that you're at a 4 or starting to get hungry. As you eat slowly and mindfully, you stay in control of the eating experience, and you can stop eating when you notice you're at a 6 on the hunger scale, which, according to this here, you can see is the feeling of being light and satisfied. I could eat more, but... I'm going to choose not to. Putting this practice into action can be a challenge, especially in the face of a busy lifestyle. It can be hard to stop the cycle of shoveling food in or just taking mindless bites. It can be even harder to even notice the hunger cues or know when you're full. Many of my clients have reported that logging food, thoughts, and time of day can help bring awareness back to those signals that your body is sending you. Some clients even log just the time of day and how they felt in order to shift their schedules to align with their body's natural rhythm. You can see how these two practices married together can lead to overall healthier choices and a sense of control. Remember, each time you eat is an opportunity to practice intuitive and mindful eating, and what you practice grows. All of this said, there are 7 skills to develop in order to practice intuitive and mindful eating together. First, awareness. This is the act of simply noticing your current habits, your motion of eating, why you're choosing to eat, and what you're choosing to eat. Typically, this requires a bit of a pause so that you can tune into what's actually going on in the moment. Next, an observation. Think of this as cause and effect analysis. If you're noticing you're eating for reasons other than hunger, explore what triggered that. Maybe it was a commercial on the TV, driving past a restaurant or a bakery and smelling the food. It wasn't even on your mind before, but now it is. Or even just a friend or a family member suggesting going to eat. Many people use tiny tastes as a transitional activity when deciding what to do next. You can see how these things pop into our daily lives without us being truly aware of them. Observing these triggers and your thoughts surrounding the trigger, you may notice that the power of suggestion can trick you into eating. And bringing in this awareness can help you plan for other things to do other than eating when you feel an urge or a craving that is not associated with hunger. Next is being in the moment. Now, being in a present moment is easier said than done. When you make the decision to eat, it can be hard to snap out of the hurry of everyday life. If you're not careful, you can begin eating your projects, worries, concerns, and feelings rather than eating your food. In fact, many times we notice that we're in such a hurry eating that we're anticipating the next bite and we're not actually experiencing the one that we are currently with. Before taking your first bite, simply take a moment to bring yourself in the present moment with a deep breath and notice your food, setting any other thoughts aside. Being mindful of your environment is another crucial element of this. They say that time and place have habit energy. What does this mean? Your mind associates certain times of day and places with food or different activities. When you eat mindfully, it can be helpful to dedicate yourself to eating at a designated location, like the kitchen table, each time so that you can avoid other areas like the car, your desk, or the couch. And throughout the day, be mindful of what you're consuming on all levels, not just the food that you're eating or where you're eating it, but also the media, the marketing, and who you surround yourself with. Because all of these things have a huge influence on our daily choices, whether we are aware of it or not. When you eat, it's also helpful to eat slowly and distraction-free. Another vote for eating at the kitchen table, I know. So no screens at the dinner table, turn off the TV, and sit with your food. It can also be helpful to do what I call priming the environment. This means we remove unhealthy food from the house and make healthy food easy to access. Simple tricks like putting fruit out on the counter in a bowl, pre-chopping veggies and putting them at eye level in the fridge, of course, stored properly. and other whole foods on hand, just having them conveniently within reach so that you aren't tempted to grab highly processed food items. This takes some pre-planning, this takes some prepping, but it's well worth it when you think of the impact it can have on the rest of your week. Next is the practice of non-judgment. Rather than attaching good or bad labels to food, you can objectively look at the fuel you are putting into your body. Being objective can help you decipher what your preferences are, as well as healthy foods that you like. By removing good and bad, you can simply shift your language. Some examples might include, I notice that I enjoy the texture of this whole grain. Or, I notice that when I eat highly processed foods, I get hungry faster and I don't feel my best. Or, I notice that when I eat more veggies, I have more energy throughout the day and my system is more regular. You don't have to know all of the science behind nutrition to understand what your body is trying to tell you. Letting go. When you notice these good and bad labels coming in, simply acknowledge them and let them go. Sit with the judgment for a moment and observe why you feel that way. Maybe it's that the choice that's sitting in front of you is misaligned with your goals. Maybe it's the choice that's sitting in front of you doesn't seem like it's going to satisfy that in the moment sensation that you're looking for. It's not going to give you the dopamine rush that you want. However, maybe it's going to inch you closer to where you want to be the most, or going to give you more energy throughout the day or even the week. Then make a mindful decision about what your next choice will be and accept the consequences or results of that. Remember, we are free to choose at any given moment. We are not free from the consequences of our choice. Making balanced choices can help us achieve better health and overall well-being. Let go of judgment and either choose how you experience your choice. Maybe it's choosing to savor a small portion of less healthy food by staying in control. And really, once you make that decision to eat, choosing to enjoy that food, letting go of the shame, letting go of the guilt, and accepting the choice that you've made. Maybe you choose to walk away and avoid something because the cost of eating that item outweighed the benefits you were searching for with your health goals. Either way, letting go of the shoulds and mindfully choosing to stay in control of your thoughts, actions, and experience can help you improve your eating habits. Lastly, acceptance. Understand that we are all a work in progress and a masterpiece all at the same time. The goal is to make progress rather than striving for perfection. Well-being is a dedicated lifelong practice. There are always ways to enhance your practice, to meet yourself where you are. There's ebbs and flows to any practice. Accept that you are worthy of both self-care and savoring. Over time, savoring and enjoying healthy foods can be very rewarding and satisfying. Let's explore what this looks like in action. A very quick overview here of the mindful bite before we do a guided mindful bite together. So the mindful bite is essentially taking in the food with all of your senses. So you start by pausing, taking a deep breath, allowing yourself to settle in to the moment. Visually take in the food you're about to enjoy. Notice the smells, the sensation, your body's reaction to the stimulus. Take another deep breath and set your intentions to be fully present with the bite. As you begin to eat, you slowly bring your food to your mouth and become aware of that movement, bringing the bite of food up to the mouth. Notice what your hand is doing, shoulders, your jaw, your head. And once the food is in your mouth, you really have to put any remaining food down. Like I said earlier, many times we can find ourselves shoveling in as many bites as possible or inhaling our food. You might not have even chewed, or even preparing the next bite and anticipating that next bite while you are chewing the current bite. When you put the fork down between bites, your focus is solely on experiencing this bite so that you are truly present with the food. When you chew this mindful bite, you concentrate on the act of eating, noticing the taste, the textures, the sensations, and how the food experience evolves as you chew. And the recommendation here is really to chew until the food is smooth. And in many cases, depending on the food that you're eating, is 20 to 30 times. So it's helpful to have food that you actually need to chew on rather than just things that are already liquefied for you. And if you are eating in this way, it can take 20 minutes or more to eat. Of course, once you swallow, pause before preparing the next bite. Remember, every time you go to take a bite, you have the power to choose. So that is a basic overview of what a mindful bite looks like, but let's put this into practice. So feel free to join me in this guided mindful bite. And you can even reference this separate 5-minute guided mindful bite practice anytime you notice you need support with mindful eating. The guided mindful bite. Before we begin our guided mindful bite, first take a moment to go into your kitchen or pantry and select an item that you want to experience. Any small item will do for this single bite practice. It could be a piece of chocolate, a slice of an apple, or perhaps a nut. The idea here is to experience this bite to establish how mindful eating can feel within the context of a meal. Now that you have your food items selected, let's first slow down our experience with a deep breath in, stretching up through the spine, and exhaling out. Notice how you're feeling in this moment. Maybe you're anxious or hungry. Maybe you're feeling calm and ready. Notice if you're feeling hurried. Take this moment to breathe deeply and relax any tension you may be experiencing throughout your body. For this bite, put outside thoughts, distractions, and worries aside. Pause and think of how this food arrived to your plate directly in front of you. Maybe even express gratitude that you can experience this bite. Now begin becoming present with the food directly in front of you. Visually take in the food. What colors do you notice? What textures can you see? Next, take a deep breath in through the nose. And as you inhale deeply, smell the food in front of you. Notice any thoughts that these senses evoke in you. And become curious about this food item. Take a moment to simply name 2 adjectives that you would use to describe this food. Next, we pick up the food. We notice the weight of the food. Notice the textures you can feel. And we slow down, becoming more aware of the motion of eating. As we bring the food to your mouth, notice the movements as you take your bite. What did your hands do? Your shoulders, your head, your jaw? And once you have taken the bite, put any other remaining food back down on the plate and relax the hands. As you chew, be fully present and eat with all of your senses. As the food becomes smooth, bring awareness to the evolution of the food throughout the bite. Once smooth, gently swallow and feel the food tracking down towards the stomach. Get curious here about your experience. Sometimes you may feel connected and satisfied with this experiment in noticing. Other times you may feel unsatisfied. Maybe you even feel neutral here. Pause and explore. What was satisfying about that bite? How could you make that bite even more enjoyable? Now that you've followed that bite all the way through, you have the opportunity to choose. In fact, each bite, you have the power to choose. In this moment, if you are choosing to put the food down and walk away, that's fine. Perhaps you're choosing another bite. And maybe this time around, notice how your experience with the same food item changes bite to bite. Each meal, each time you eat, is an opportunity to explore mindful eating. Follow this same process to make every bite a mindful bite.